Selfie with Dad. In the end, my father valued freedom most. He tells us about the hidden stairwell leading from the nurse's station to the closet in his hospital room, which leads to the nook behind the furnace in the basement of his and Mom's condo. The orderlies have a stash of liquor in there, he says, and they are stealing from the good people of America. 1971 keeps coming up in conversation. My sister was just a toddler then, and Mom was soon to have a final unfortunate miscarriage. Just think, there might have been another, maybe a brother, maybe a sister, maybe Eric, maybe Celeste, but there were already too many children, some unplanned but never unloved. Meanwhile, Nixon was busy planning to steal our freedom as 8 burglars in Media, Pennsylvania broke into the local FBI office, exposing J. Edgar Hoover for the fraud that he had become and the lies that patriots told in the service of the state. He spoke of distant places, San Francisco and Chicago. He'd never traveled outside the country besides Juarez, though he'd always wished to see so much more. "We are losing America," he said. "And the doctor is full of shit. What with that disguise he was wearing and that phony accent? The only thing my father needed was the police, and his sons to stand by his bedside. He screams at me for trying to poison him with chicken, noodles, and peas. I had spent months lifting him from the bed to the commode, holding his naked body like a crystal chalice, while trying not to break my back, as he fought against me in pain and fear. The third time that he called 911, the EMTs came again, and the police too, fine Americans all. They tell him that the law gives them the right to arrest him for abusing the privilege, but they tell me privately that they understand. The threat is all for show. Most of the calls that they get are from old folks who just want to see a face, and most have no one to clean them when they make a mess, to change the bed sheets, to shift their tortured bodies, to comb their thinning hair. I show him videos on my iPhone. My friends and I at the open mic. Here Comes the Sun, live by George Harrison and Paul Simon. And he talks about he and Mom went to a nightclub in the 70s or 80s, and an old man, Frankie Lane, singing Mule Train. I find the song on YouTube, a hit from 1949. He lies back in bed, smiles, and sings along. "We have to release him," says the nurse. Dr. Singh speaks condescendingly about sundowning and how none of his conditions can be classified as an emergency. Vascular dementia, useless legs, paranoia. "Speak to him," I say, "and ask him where he is and why he is here." I hear quiet words in an Indian accent, then yelling. When he returns, the doctor is shaken, his visage changed, and he rescinds the release order. I play the flute for my father in the dark, and it is the day after Thanksgiving. He does not know I am here. His arm is purple from wrist to shoulder, from where he tore out the cannula, and he cannot even remember 1971. I tell him about the fresh cranberry sauce that Bob made, not knowing if he hears me, and how Mom misses him, but she can't walk or even leave her bed for long. At his bedside I place the framed picture of Jesus that his mother gave him years ago. Ken calls from Georgia, and my father wakes. He starts babbling about applesauce. Apple, apple, apple. He reaches, open-mouthed, for the iPhone, and I call for the duty nurse. He has a lucid moment while we wait. He asks about Ed in Japan. They bring him a burger and chips, which he can't eat in his condition, and I demand an explanation. I end up feeding him applesauce and yogurt. He sleeps again, and I take a selfie with Dad. A week later, back home in Pennsylvania, I get a phone call from Ken, back home in New Jersey, while I'm out with friends at Buddy's Burgers and Fries. "Come."